So, after you've downloaded both the material editor and Nifskope, we're going to start with Nifskope. So we're going to find our Nif in question, and it's going to be the holdfast. So as you can see, it's a little bit purple. That isn't supposed to be the case. So we're going to open up material editor, and you can either hit new, or if you've downloaded one of a weapons mod or armor mod from me or someone else, you can pretty much just use somebody else's path for that. But yeah, so I've got the BGSM, which is basically the material file that we're going to be needing to use, which will apply like so. So I've already got the hands pre-built, and when I go to open up this B subindex tri-shape, you're going to see the skin instance and the BS lighting shader property with this material and the hands BGSM. So if I crack open the BS lighting shader property, you're going to see these little options here along with these little flower shape things. So these are actually where the textures would go if you did not use material editor. So because we're using material editor, we don't have to actually apply those textures. So like I said, I've already got the hands already pre-built, so I can basically just go and paste, and pretty much it. I can do the same thing for the neck because I've already got it pre-built. If you don't already have it, we'll be covering that shortly. So, what's needed? Well, we need the textures. And make it easier on myself really quickly. So we need to go to the Pt.4 data textures, and depending on where you want it, you could put it in textures right here, or like I'm doing with mine, I have it in armor. You need to create a folder. So I'm gonna create a holdfast. Now, holdfast has the warlock through Titan and Hunter variants. So I have to specify that I'm using a specific path, which is going to be Hunter. And I'm going to take the normal and the fuse of everything that I've just grabbed. So I'm going to copy it and paste it in here. I'll try to keep it into a uniform aspect things, even though there's cloak and the greaves on the same textures. Just try to keep it general, that pretty easy. So just like with Fruminous, I want it to match up just like so. So I've got to make this like so. So I'm going to take and remove the Fruminous and just add holdfast to it. Now, what this glow texture is going to do is pretty freaking obvious. That just allows for the glow. We haven't gotten to that stage yet because that requires baking the textures. So we're not going to add the glow. We're going to just remove that. Going to make sure that both specular and emittance is not enabled because I don't have a specular texture yet. Pt.4 handles that a little bit weirdly, from what I understand. I'm not at all texture savvy, so some of you might be going actually and so forth. So excuse me if I'm making a faux pass on that. But I'm going to create a new folder in the materials, and again, I'm trying to keep it as uniform as possible. If I've got textures, armor, Destiny 2, I'm going to keep it the same thing. Materials, armor, Destiny 2. Hold fast. Again, I'm working on Hunter, so I need to make a new folder saying that it's in the Hunter category. And since I've just worked on the arms, that's what I'm going to call it. So it's going to be the arms BGSM. Now I have to do the same for the helmet. And that is pretty much all you need Material Editor for. It is very, very much a game changer, and credit to the people responsible for creating this program, because without it, you could not make mods as efficient as you would be able to. They handle everything from alpha testing to double-sided, especially which is necessary for the cloak, or the marks, or the robes. This handles the effects for if you have like a let me see. Let's see. There. So I made an option of this helmet to be see-through. This one is not see-through. But using the power of Material Editor, it is transparent. So you'd be able to see your character's face as if they're looking right through it. And that is done through Material Editor. Without it, you could not do this whatsoever. So, again, I'm just going to copy the BGSM path right here. I'm going to go to the helmet. I'm going to make sure it matches up, which we can see it does. This is why I try to keep it uniform, because usually all you have to do is change one folder and that's it. So I'm going to do the same for the arms. And that's it. So sometimes you'll see a little bit of, like, the more you zoom out, the more you see it. It's kind of wonky. Once we exit out and go right back into Outfit Studio to segment everything, it won't be a problem, as you can see. So I wouldn't really stress about it too much. So first thing we need to do, we need to separate the helmet from everything else. And then make sure that it's unchecked. Yep. And then we need to make a first-person view model, which I call FPV, or first-person, whatever. Basically, all we need to do is take off the clothes and the neck piece, delete. And this is what your character will be showing as they're aiming their weapons or swinging a sword in first person. So all we need to do is make sure it reflects that. And next, and the final bit, is we need to do a little bit of enlarging in the neck area. So I need to re-import both the Nif and the full male body. I only need the... Well, actually, I probably should keep the rear head. Unlike with Skyrim and Falling to Vegas, the rear head is all glued to the front. I don't know why Bethesda did that. I'm eternally perplexed, but we'll get into that another day. So, as we can see, we got a little bit of stretchiness poking out into the bit of the neck and cloth area, which we don't want. So we're going to examine all angles to make sure that's fixed, or what needs to be fixed. So we're going to go to Tool, Current Tool, Inflate. We can basically enlarge or tone down the size of the brush or the strength of the brush. So it's a small area, so we really don't need to enlarge everything else. I'm just going to left click. It's the same thing as if in Blender you're messing around with the sculpt tools. So if you're familiar with that, this should be a pretty much a no-brainer. But this one thankfully did not require that much fiddling around with. And the best part about it is it's not going to impact the helmet as much or at all. Because generally when you're making those sorts of edits, depending on the model in question, you want to make sure that the neck piece doesn't really overlap with the helmet too much, depending on how it was imported. So it looks like it didn't really affect anything, so we don't really need to stress. So I'm just going to export that. And that is it for the weighing aspect of things. We're done with that. We can move on to how do we plug this into the game. Well, you go and you download, and I'm sorry, you will need the Bethesda.net launcher for this. There is no other way around this, I'm sorry. But you will need to download the Bethesda.net launcher and grab the Fallout 4 creation kit. It is both necessary for Skyrim Special Edition and Fallout 4. You will fire it up, and you will grab the program in question, and then for the master file, it's always, no matter what you do, it's always going to be fallout4.esm as the main master. Like for my ports, I use Nuka World assets, so this is secondary master. But for the interest of moving things along, we're going to go to the armor. So what I did initially... was it night? Yes. So what I initially did was I took the Brotherhood of Steel Knight Undersuit, because what it had was both the suit and it had the gloves checked off. So from the get-go, I could pretty much just uncheck or delete the gloves and just take the armor. And the reason why it's purple despite applying the material settings is because I opened the creation kit up before I had applied everything in Nifskope. So don't worry about it being purple. It's not going to be purple in game. But yeah, I'm going to go to the biped model, which is the male. I'm going to redo that. I'm going to open the male. I'm going to go right here to edit, plug in the male, go to the first person view, change that out, plug that into the male. So make sure you check off left and right hand here. We're going to rename it to the Hold Fast Hunter. If you're going to be doing multiple versions of the models in question, such as the Titan or whatever, make sure you plug in that it's Hunter or whatever class you choose. It's going to ask me after I've hit OK, do I want to create a new form? Yes, because if I hit no, everything is going to be changed to reflect what I just made the edit to. So all the males will be wearing the Hold Fast armor that are wearing the Brotherhood Undersuit. So we're going to click yes. We're going to delete that, go to new. We're going to type in 01 Hold Fast. And that has successfully checked off the Hold Fast Hunter armor. Then we're going to go here. We got to make sure that even though this is an armor add-on entry, you have to make sure it's a different name. Going to change things around to reflect that. And that is basically it. That's how you plug it in. It's in the armor section. So if you use console commands, you will be able to just pull the armor out of the game files itself and equip it. Now, if you want it in a world space, that is a different endeavor. So I believe it was maybe Yes, this one's in. So this is where I've been keeping my Destiny armors, as far as storage goes. So what I did was I launched into a small interior that I knew very few people were ever going to go into to really fuck up and mess with. And I just plugged in my own footlocker, which is this one right here. So what I did, I went down to World Objects, Container, and I found just a regular Brotherhood footlocker. Just a regular old footlocker. As you can see here, I just took everything out, deleted it. And I threw in all the armors that I wanted to be reflected in that footlocker. Just dragged and dropped it in there, hit OK. Again, click yes, created a new form. And generally you want to put 0, 1 to make it easier to find. And from there, I found the world space that I knew people weren't going to mess with. I grabbed the footlocker and dragged it and dropped it there. It's now in a world space. So you can switch it up. You can hold left click and drag it and drop it around, holding Z to bring it up left, or bring it up and down. It's been a while since I messed with this, so I can't recall off the top of my head what the exact controls are. Okay, so G to move it around. So it's about the same as Blender controls. So yeah, that's basically it. That is how you bring your armors both into the game, to be found in the creation kit, and how to find them in the world space. So I'm gonna redo that holdfast armor, but we have one final thing to do, and that is the baking of textures. So need to go back to this original holdfast armor for demonstration purposes. We're going to cover that in the next video, so stand by for that one.